Hey everyone, welcome back to the MapNG tool. I've done some updates to it, updated the UI, updated some of the features, but I'm just going to jump back into teaching you how to make a map with this tool and some of the nuances around it. So first off, we've got this new GPXZ dataset. Now this is a premium, you need an API key, but you can create a free account and you get 100 free requests per day. I've also made it so that you can include OpenStreetMap features like roads, buildings, things like that. Now, I did have them in 3D, but I decided that's a little bit too much for what I'm trying to do with this in particular. I'll talk more about that another time. But it works the same. You go to a place that you want to choose on the map, you can preview it in 3D, and then you can download the height map, which the height map is going to match the resolution, the output resolution. The satellite image, if you just want the satellite image, it's going to be the same, the output resolution. But if you did choose to include OSM features, I created these hybrid PNG outputs. So these always output at 8192 by 8192. This just gives you a really crisp view of what's going on, and I can show you that once we put a map in the game. And then you can download the OSM data or the 3D model itself. So I've got a couple other little UI things here. What this is, we can change to dark mode if we want. There's a disclaimer about the data accuracy, and then you can check your coverage. Now this is important with this data set, and I'll show you that in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and preview this Devil's Tower monument with the standard data set and the OSM features enabled. And here we go. This is a Devil's Tower monument. This is basically what the map used to look like, no matter what. And now with the OSM features, you can choose to just have OSM data. So you can use this kind of like a blueprint to put your roads down and stuff. Or a hybrid, which is the satellite map with the roads, footpaths, buildings, and barriers from OpenStreetMaps. So you can add these trails into the game if you want as well. Basically, you'd add this as your base layer in the game, and then you'd paint materials on top of it. And then you have none, which just kind of shows you what the 3D model looks like from that data set. And you can see it's not bad, but it's not great either. So we'll go ahead and switch over now to the 1 meter data set, and all I have to do is select it and then click Preview 3D. It will regenerate the area with the new data set. And it says online. I have an online detector on this because sometimes this data set's just not available. It is a freely accessible data set, but it's sometimes the data catalog is down and it doesn't work. So if that does happen, it will fall back to the standard data set. And you'll see right away that this is already much better. And then we can switch back to hybrid mode, and you can now see still the quality is so much better. Now, even more than that, sometimes you can get an even better result using the GPXZ API. So I already got my key in here. Let's switch back to this for a second. You'll see that looks pretty good. And I'll take a quick screenshot of it actually so we can compare them afterwards. And we'll go ahead and do Preview 3D using the GPXZ dataset. Nice. So I'm actually not seeing a huge difference here, but maybe I'm missing something. This is why I took a screenshot. Let's zoom into that. Oops. But you can see the road outline here is pretty good. There may be some slight differences in these two, but you can't always tell the difference. But it's all just about experimenting. But in my opinion, this GPXC data set is actually the best one. But again, you can only be limited to 100 requests per day. And if you choose a resolution of 1024 or greater, it's going to make multiple requests to that API because there's a area size limit. Anyways, let's go back to hybrid. I personally like hybrid because I get a really high quality PNG that I can overlay on top of my height map in the game. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that the meters per pixel for the GPXC dataset can vary. So it's not always going to be 1, but in general it is. So you would click on check coverage and it'll bring you here to this website. Now we're right now in Wyoming at the Devil's Tower Monument, which is right up here northwest. So I know that this data set gives me anywhere from 0.5 to 2 meters of precision. So we'll start out with 1 meter when we bring the map into the game. So let me go back to that. I'll go ahead and download let me check my downloads folder. I want to make sure it's empty. Yeah. We'll go ahead and download the height map, the hybrid satellite image, and that's basically all we need. You could download the model, open it up in Blender, or do something with the JSON data. But my favorite choices are the regular height map and the hybrid texture. So now let's pop into the game. We'll go to the template map, spawn in, hit the J key to pause, F11 to the world editor, create a new level, Devil's Tower, create, open. Here we are, hit J to pause, go ahead and save the level. And we need to go back to our downloads folder, hit Windows key and E to open up another thing here. I have a shortcut to my levels, so this makes things a bit easier. I'm just going to rename this one to hybrid, and I'll rename this one to HM for height map, and we'll just drop those files into the game folder. With that out of the way, we'll open up the terrain tools, terrain material library, upgrade materials, click upgrade, and close. Now, somebody told me, and I don't know much about this, you can set the base texture size to 8192, whatever you chose, right? You can set it for all of these. So that's what I'm going to do. Now we're going to add a material. We'll call this base map Devil's Tower. We'll go to levels, Devil's Tower, and choose the hybrid image. That's 8192. Click open. Set this to 8192. Now this actually might be wrong. I think we might actually have to set this to the size of the terrain. And remember, it was 1024. So I'll just do that to start out. These numbers can all get a little bit tricky. So I want to make sure I'm giving good information. Last time I tested it, That's what I came to the conclusion of, is that the size in meters of the base texture in the world. So sure, the base texture size is 8192, but the terrain is only 1024. So I'm going to set it to 1024. So I'm going to add material, click save, and close that. Now I'll go ahead and just delete these two materials for fun. Oh, I can't do that. I have to select one. Please don't break the game. Okay, there we go. And ignore all the stuff for now. We'll go ahead and import the terrain. And let's take a peek back at the numbers. I forgot to do that. You want to use the diff as the height, because it's really the height in the game is how tall do you want this? And the way that's determined, at least in my experience, is this is the minimum sea level, this is the maximum sea level, and this is the difference between them. So this should be your height in the game. So 389 for the meters, and then 1 meter per pixel. Now this 1 meter per pixel might change. We don't know, but let's just hope that it's correct. So open up the height map. You'll see it's 1024. Open and import. I'll hit Shift C to break away from the vehicle. Hold Alt and scroll up to get the camera speed up. And here we go. Now, this doesn't quite look right. This looks really exaggerated. So the first thing that I'm probably going to do is set my meters per pixel to 2. Because the height is correct. It's just that it seems that the meters per pixel is not actually going to be 1 in this case. And let's fix that texture real quick. We'll choose the Devil's Tower again and delete the warning material. And yeah, so that fits properly, but the scale is all wrong. So we need to go to the terrain. And let's change the square size to 2. This looks a lot more accurate actually. So it might be that this particular data set was actually 2 meters. And these roads aren't always going to line up perfectly. I tried my best to make sure they did. And let's bring the Z positioning up to like 120. Get that out of the water. This looks a bit more accurate. Here's what I'll do. Maybe go over here. And we'll just take a peek from right here. And then let's go to, let's say Google Earth, and just take a peek at Google Earth to see how accurate that is. So you have these where I went to some spot over here, the campground, okay? So let's go here and see if, can I set my little person down here? Yeah. Let's get out of these trees. Okay, so how does that look? That looks gigantic. And let's see what it looks like in the game. It seems to be a little bit off still. But this is a great way to get a good perspective about what it might need to look like. I think we need to increase the meters per pixel again. So let's change it now to, I don't know. Let's do, can we do 2.5? Okay, let's go here. I'd say that's a bit closer, but I think we might need to bump it up to 3. So let's do that. And again, this is just, you know, trial and error sort of sometimes, because the data sets are not always exactly right. All right, let's see here. I feel like that is pretty much as high as I want to go. That being said, now that we've got our measurements pretty much, I would say, correct, let's do one more thing. Let's go to level info, turn the fog down to 0. And let's plop our car in here and drive from the campground up to the summit. And I'll speed this part of the video up, perhaps. We're going off-road, buddy. Okay, now let's go back here and see what it looks like from up there. Okay, so it's not perfect, but obviously it's pretty good. And this is 1 meter data set. So that's basically all I wanted to show. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to go over here. Um, the global coverage here is really important. Just keep that in mind. Obviously, North America is going to have a lot of coverage. France is going to have a lot of coverage. Southern Germany is going to have a lot of coverage. And right up, bumping up against Switzerland, you're going to have some coverage there as well, and Austria. But these numbers matter. How many meters resolution are in these areas? So keep that in mind when you're using the GPXC dataset. Yeah, hope that was informational for you. This tool has been a lot of fun to make. I think I'm going to just leave it how it is for now. I'm going to try to figure out those scaling issues where it seems that, I don't know if it's the height map itself or something else, but maybe there's a way I can make it to where when you put it in the game, it does stay true to 1 meters per pixel, or if there's something I'm missing here mathematically. Anyways, enjoy.